So the episode starts out with the Sherwood family. Shane and Ashley are going to meet Sara today. Shane is a little bit apprehensive after his experience with Grace, and he feels like the fact that Sara is willing to meet him so soon is a good sign, however. So Ashley says that she and Shane, Sara and Shane should have some level of chemistry, and if that's not going to happen, then things wouldn't work out. And so, they're at home and they're getting ready. And in this conversation, she asks Shane, like, if she were to have a kiss while he's around, how would he feel about that? And he admits that he would feel a little jealous. I mean, that would be kind of weird for anybody, I think, especially when it's not like a sister-wife situation where everybody's married. So he didn't really say how he would feel if it happened today. He said, he's heard of it, but he hasn't seen it. He's kind of nerdy, and sometimes he just talks around things. But he brought up, if it were to happen today, but then he didn't really say how he would feel. So, this whole thing with Ashley is still a little bit weird, being so heavily pregnant. I don't know why she can't just wait until the baby's born, but here they go. So it looks like they're meeting at some place that looks like an arcade. And upon meeting, Sara gave Shane a hug. So the meeting's already a huge improvement from the one with Grace. And she was asked about her first impression of Shane. And Sarah's like, well, he's a normal guy, a dad. So what I'm getting from here is that, like, he's just an average guy. Nothing about him stands out. There's nothing negative standing out either. So she doesn't have any issues with him one way or another. So Sara says she already been there before with her son. And so Shane starts the conversation asking, if she would like more kids. And Sara jokes, he would have to take her to dinner first. It'll take more than an arcade game or something like that. So Shane likes her jovial personality. Then we see where the girls are playing something. It looks like a golfing game, and they're together. It's a whole lot of giggling and cockeying and giggling and, talking and giggling while Shane, sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. Shane is hanging back, and I was like, wow, he just looks like the third wheel back there. And right when I was thinking that, he admitted that he felt like the third wheel because the girls are just giggling and talking, and he's just hanging back. So, Sara says that she feels comfortable flirting with Ashley with Shane around because she feels like it's something that he would want to see. He would want to know that, the person, whoever Ashley's dating, cares for her and that they, have a good, interaction. Shane asked Sara why she agreed to another date, and she said that they had a good time, they had good chemistry, and she brought up the kiss. She's like, I don't know if you heard or not, but, she mentioned that they had a good kiss or whatever. And he asked her if she had any experience with similar relationships. She said yes, and talks about the relationships that she's had in the past. I think he asked if she had any long-term relationships experience in this kind of setting. And she says that it's been more like friends with benefits type of things with the other couples that she was involved with and dating, but it didn't sound like there was any exclusivity. She said that, it was more sporadic, that somebody would call and say, hey, you want to do this, you want to do that. So yeah, I don't know why she would want to do something like that. Is she a commitment phobe? Is that why this kind of thing works better for her? Or is that why she's only done that kind of dating before? Or is it something else? But anyway, Ashley thinks that Shane is coming on too strong with the questions, but I feel like these are relevant questions. You need to know what the person's up to before you bring them in. Of course, considering how badly it's going for some of the other couples, you want to make sure that the person's on the same page as you and not find out later that you're wasting your time. So I don't think he's coming on too strong anyway. So after she actually mentions about the past relationships, Shane was saying, well, I don't think that she is ready for this type of a relationship. But I'm like, how did you come by this? You asked about her history. She told you about that. So that doesn't mean that this is what she wants. She's just answering your question. That doesn't mean that, she might not want to do something else now. And that's exactly what Sara said when he mentions, like, I'm kind of confused. I don't feel like, you're ready for this type of a dynamic or something to that effect, he said. And she was like, well, you asked me about my past and I'm telling you, that doesn't mean that I'm not open to doing different things than what I've done in the past. So Shane goes on to tell her that they're looking to move quickly. He mentions I'm having some bad experience in the past, and he doesn't want to find out in the midst of things that, the people involved want different things. And so Shane asks her if she'd be willing to drop those casual relationships. And then Ashley finally chimes in and says something. Did she say anything before that? She hasn't said a whole lot. Just like with the meeting with Grace, she didn't really say a whole lot. But she adds on by asking, what would you need to see to know that, we would be a good fit, or you would be a good fit with us, and get rid of the other relationships that you have. And so Sara says, she can't really say because she has to get to know them more, but she does admit that her walls are pretty high, so it would take some time to break that down and to have a relationship grow. But she is open into getting to know them, but she just can't really say with any kind of certainty without knowing them, which, what do they expect? So Shane says he wants to make sure that they're on the same page. Shane is asking all the questions, and I noticed that at one point that Ashley, I think Ashley took Sarah's hands, so they kind of held hands for a quick second, but I don't know if maybe Sara was feeling awkward because the next second that we looked, they weren't holding hands anymore, so I don't know what's going on there. And in her confessional, Sara says that Shane might not be over his last experience, so that's, I guess, a little thing that she's keeping in the back of her mind. She says maybe they need to hang out more, get to know each other more, and she would be open to doing that. So they ended the little date, and Shane gave her a hug, and when he was leaving, she playfully hit him on his butt and said, "Get out of here." So this could be something. She has a good personality. Shane, in his confessional, says he's not quite sure she's ready for this type of relationship. He feels like she's wanting to know more about it, like she's more curious than anything else. But I don't know that is the case. It sounds like she's being cautious in what she's saying, considering that she doesn't know them yet, which I don't feel like there's anything wrong with that. I feel like Shane is being a little unrealistic, expecting a commitment to them on a second date. What do you want from the lady? Saying, you want her to say, oh, I'm going to be locked in with you guys until whenever, when I just met you for the first time? That's not going to happen. I feel like there is potential here, but for some reason, he's feeling like she's on the same page. But let me know what you think about this interaction and this conversation that they had. So back in Mexico, we see where Garrick's making breakfast. Then we see Danielle and Nathalia arrive. Garrick says in his confessional that Nathalia is still a bit cautious about forgiving him, but he still wants to move on with asking her to marry him. Now, not long after Nathalia enters the room, she whisks Danielle off to talk, or they go outside to talk. Did she ask her to go, or did Danielle ask her? But anyway, Danielle in her confessional says that she wants to give Nathalia the sister necklace. So maybe she was the one who asked her to go talk. And she wants to let her know how committed she and Garrick are, and how she loves and cares for her. When did she start loving Nathalia? Did I miss it? I don't know where this is coming from, but maybe I missed it. Then she goes on to say that the necklace is a sign of their commitment to marriage to Garrick. I guess the wife's commitment to their marriage with Garrick and to the Lord. Here we go again. They always try to drag God into what they're doing. I'm like, why are we doing this? Leave God out of this. So she tells Danielle that no, Nathalia tells Danielle that she's happy that they were able to clear things up with Garrick. And Danielle asks her if she still wants to be in the family. Now, Nathalia says she's feeling better. She didn't really say yes, but she said that she was feeling better about the situation, that Danielle was able to clear things up a lot for her. And so Danielle proceeds to ask if she would like to be her sister. So Nathalia looks like she was trying hard not to laugh. Just the look on her face. But she ended up saying yes. And then she tells Danielle she's her best friend. What? I know Nathalia is playing. When did Danielle become her best friend? Oh my Lord, she has to be playing. So when she says yes, I could just picture Garrick peeping behind a bush watching this whole thing and then jumping up and down the minute she says yes. I know he's going to be losing his mind with happiness when he finds out that she says yes. So Danielle said Garrick made the necklace, and no, he designed the necklace, I think. And then she opened the box, and the necklace was like a ruby hourglass shaped thingy with 2 diamonds in where the sand would be. And then she says in her description when she talked about it earlier that it was supposed to be an infinity sign on the outside, but it's not. It's almost like two connecting parentheses on the outside, and then the hourglass on the inside of that. And I didn't like it. It's kind of too big, in my opinion. I feel like it wouldn't be too bad if it was just the hourglass piece and maybe a little bit smaller. But I'm curious to know what your thoughts were on the necklace. So anyway, Danielle says it's the kind of necklace that they gave to Roberta. And she says that it's the same necklace that they will give to each sister wife that joined their family. And so then she puts the necklace on Nathalia's neck and hug her. And then when they pull back, Danielle tried to kiss Nathalia on the lips. And Nathalia bobbed and weaved from it and was like, no. I was like, what the hell, Danielle? My jaw dropped. Like, what are you doing? It's just so random. Is she okay? And then she tells her to get dressed, that she probably needs to get dressed because Garrick has something special planned. So after this awkward little, attempt to kiss her on the lips, then we just pan to her telling her that she probably needs to go change. So I don't know what happened because it was real awkward. So then next we see Garrick getting dressed. He's trying to practice his Portuguese. And then we see Danielle curling Nathalia's hair. Garrick says he hopes that she likes the ring. He says the ring is the shape of a rose. He designed it and had somebody make it. And he has it in the shape of a rose because he calls her his sweet rose. And then he goes on to talk about some religious experience. Said about a year ago, he was on a mountain praying and God told him about a rose that would be coming in their family, a sweet rose, and how it's going to heal and calm their family and bring them peace, supposedly. So then he has 11 roses, and he says Nathalia is the 12th rose. Then we see Danielle come and ask him if he's nervous. He is nervous. Then she asked him if he was nervous when he asked her, and then there was a pause, and then he said yes. I'm like, liar. It's the right answer, but you're lying, sir. So then she was also wearing the same hideous necklace herself. But I don't see, have we seen her wear this necklace before? I feel like this is the first I'm seeing her wear this necklace, but I could be wrong. I just never noticed if she did before. So he goes on to claim that God told him to marry her when talking about the relationship or marriage to Danielle. And then he goes into some crazy story about feeling like they're in a bubble, blah, blah, blah. And then all Danielle could do was just giggle. She couldn't stop giggling about all this BS that he was saying. I feel like she was just laughing, so she wouldn't contradict what he's saying, or maybe because what he was saying was just so crazy. But she was just cackling. So then we see Nathalia comes out. She's in a slip dress kind of with like a push-up top bodice. She looks great. And then Garrick saw her and he was like, ooh la la, and he couldn't keep his hands off of her. And he gave her the roses. Then we see where her mom and Danielle were looking on, but they were further away. Then he got down on one knee and asked her to marry him in her native language, which I admit that was kind of cute. He was trying to, tell her in her language. And then she says yes. He couldn't stop grinning. And then the mom and Danielle joined them where they were, and they popped champagne. And then they took some kind of engagement pictures, I guess. They were posing, and Danielle was taking pictures on the mom. So Nathalia says she didn't expect it, but she's happy and says how she loves Garrick, Danny, and the boys and looking forward to their future. Her mom says she doesn't agree really with the lifestyle, but respects her decision and trusts that she knows what she's doing. She's only concerned that her daughter is happy, which rightfully so. Nathalia feels like they still have a long road ahead because there's going to be a lot of changes, a lot of especially moving eventually to the U.S., learning a new language, but she will do her best to adjust. And Danielle says she can't believe that they're there again already with an engagement, but she's happy. Are you? So then in the last scene, we see where Danielle is in the bed and Garrick has their suitcase on the bed. Why is the dirty suitcase on the bed? But it's on the bed and he's putting stuff. So he's saying that it's their last night. And then there was a knock on the door and Nathalia came in. Now, I don't know whose room it was. Was it their room? I can't imagine they were on Natalia's bed. Maybe it's their room? I don't know. So she comes in her pajama and a crop top. They were on the bed. So in the confessional, Garrick was saying that the person who becomes the wife, no, he says a person becomes a wife when they're intimate. According to God, I guess that's when they become the wife because they become one flesh through sex, I guess. So, and he's definitely looking forward to intimacy with Nathalia. And I knew it would be a matter of time before he brings up having sex with Nathalia. And then he says that being a wife is not based on intimacy. No, it's based on intimacy, not on paperwork or ceremony. And then we see where he gets done throwing his little things in the suitcase. And then he gets in the bed and gets under the sheet and saying it's bedtime. So at this point, I didn't know whose room it was. So he was hinting for somebody to get out. And I was pretty sure it was Danielle. So I'm like, well, whose room is it? And usually he's not in bed. Like, he's so excited and anxious and volunteering to go to bed all of a sudden, like a little baby. So then I see why he was so excited to get in under the covers, because then Danielle had to get up and leave. I was like, ooh. So yeah, he's a bit excited. So then Danielle gets out of the bed and she was covered in a sheet. So I don't know why. I don't know what she was wearing. And she was like, have fun sleeping. And she was doing her wiggling her eyebrows. And now I think she was trying to be funny. She's like cracking jokes, but I still feel like she seemed uncomfortable. She's claiming to be happy about this whole engagement thing, but I just don't buy it. She just doesn't seem like she's truly and genuinely happy about this whole thing. But anyway, we all know that Garrick will not be sleeping if Nathalia allows him a slither of any kind of action. So anyway, let me know what your thoughts are on this whole Danielle, Nathalia, Garrick segment. So the segment with the Ryans continued from where we left off last week. They had drove from Texas to Colorado, and we hear Stephanie ask them why they drove all this way. Becky says, you were calling one to see Justin, and then she said, yeah, but I told him not to come. And Becky was like, well, you're the one who's been wanting to see him. So she's being like really pushy, telling her, we need to talk about these things. And Stephanie says, she wants to be with Greg. And so Becky starts grilling her about, when did this happen? How did this happen? And Becky says, you don't love us anymore. And Stephanie says, I love you guys. And I just, I want to have a friendship, but I want to be with Greg. So apparently this Greg was somebody that she said was just a friend, but apparently they had been in an on and off relationship, on again, off again relationship. And so she tells her that Greg was there right now, and she was like, can he hear us or something like that? And she was like, no, or something to that effect. And so Becky was asking, if they've been in a relationship for the last 9 months, like, didn't she need to tell them that she wanted to switch relationships or something like that? And she goes on to ask if they were having sex when she was having sex with Justin, or when they were having sex. Were they having sex at this point? And so Stephanie was saying, it's none of your business. She asked her 2 questions about her sex life, and Stephanie was like, none of your business. And so even after the first one, she followed up with another one. It's like she just has no consideration for anybody's boundaries, just like how she drove up there when she told him no. When she told her it's not, any of your business, she continues to follow up with a similar question, like, lady, what's the matter with you? So she was like, I need to know because I know I need to get tested because of you. But wouldn't it be prudent to get tested anyway if there's somebody you find out was involved with another person that you didn't know about? Wouldn't it be wise to do that anyway? It doesn't matter what the timeline was. She's something else. And so is Justin, because why are you co-signing this to drive up there to invade this woman's privacy? They're insane. So then Becky comes back out to the car, and Justin asks how it was, and she says worse than worst case scenario. And she says she wouldn't tell Justin what Stephanie said. She's not going to do her dirty work for her, so she says. And she acted shocked that Becky wasn't happy to see. Becky acted shocked that Stephanie wasn't happy to see her when she was invading her privacy. Come on. And then in the confessional, she had this eerie smile on her face, like where a smile wasn't really warranted talking about the situation. It's almost like the smile that an axe murderer would have on their face. And I'm like, why is she grinning? Why does she have this weird grin on her face? So then they decided, because it's such a long drive back, they're going to have a room for the night. And so Justin says they need to figure out what her deal is. Huh? I think it's pretty clear. She doesn't want to see you guys. She wants to be with somebody else. What deal is there to figure out? Like, why can't these people take a hint? I don't get it. So then while at the hotel, Justin asked again what Stephanie said. And so Becky finally told her. And then he says, he loved her to death, and it wasn't reciprocated. So he's sad and disappointed. He talked about how, a 20-year-old would kick his butt. I guess he's referring to Greg, but the mature him feels kind of helpless. There's nothing he can do. He talks about how he was blindly in love with Stephanie. But why though? You guys were only talking to her for 9 months? Is that the timeline? And it's not like she lived locally. So how many times could they have conceivably been together? How are you so blindly in love with her? And he was buying her affection. He was giving her things in order to see her. And then she would go dark. So I guess they're willing to take it however they can get it. If they got to buy the love or attention, they'll buy it. They're just creepy. What do you think about these two and all these things that happened today? And with them showing up, and Becky just being so pushy and inappropriate. Oh my goodness. So next we see the Salahuddins, and they're back at home, and Naeem's mom came over, and I guess the plan was for them to introduce what's the name? Keisha, had she shown up. But anyway, so they had to tell her that the whole saga, that Keisha didn't show up and all the situation. So she was kind of like, yep, I knew I was right. This was a bad idea, basically. And so she was saying that, polygamy wasn't like Islam. And they were like, yes, it is. And she was like, well, not the way you guys are doing it. And she was saying that they needed to be if they were going to have multiple wives, that they needed to have separate households. And they were disagreeing with her. They were saying that they could be in the same household. They could have separate bedrooms or whatever. And they go on to talk about how the Quran says, they can have multiple wives. They just have to be just. What they do for one, they have to do for the other. And if they can't be just, then they need to have one wife, which kind of makes sense to me. If you're going to take on all these wives, you need to make sure that you're able to give each one what they need and to treat them fairly so one doesn't feel left out. So that seems kind of common sense to me. And then they chatted a little bit more about, I guess, the concept of polygamy or whatever. And so Naeem said, I have a question, like, were you really serious when you said that, you wouldn't come over here if they had a sister wife and we can come to your house? And she was like, yeah, for now, yeah. And then he asked, like, okay, basically how long it would take for her to warm up, if they did have a sister wife. And she's like, yeah, I don't know. And they were like, really? Okay. So yeah, I believe that was pretty much it for the Salahuddins this week. It was a really short segment for them, and I hope that we'll kind of see them kind of getting out and dating locally here shortly, because their segments are a little bit boring. I hate to say it, because the first 2 episodes they were doing the dinner. The next one they were driving to the airport, which they ended up not going to the airport because she called and canceled, and then now they're back in the house. So hopefully they can get back outside, do some interesting stuff, and in the next couple episodes. So anyway, I believe that's all for this episode. Let me know your thoughts, like, comment, and subscribe.